Yes, indeed. Big Brother Bear here to give you all that you want and what you need. And today, I'm going to give you 5 tips, 5 things you need to check off on your checklist moving from high school to that next level. The great thing about this list I'm going to give you today is a lot of these things I'm going to give you is applicable if you're in a junior college trying to get onto a 4-year university as well.
Hoop loud.
Now, the first thing on that checklist is this. Ask yourself, are you being realistic? I understand you got a never said die attitude, prove your haters wrong. They told me what I couldn't do, so I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to show everybody they were wrong about me. I'm going to play at the highest level. I get all that stuff. I get all that. But at the end of the day, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, am I being honest? Am I being honest with myself? Am I being realistic with where I can play? Well, you got to be mature when you get to this point. Some of you still aren't at that point. I know I didn't get to that point too much later in my career, but you have to be honest with yourself. Are you being realistic about playing at the level that you want to play at? And if so, what's the criteria which led you to think that you're being realistic? Is it because you match up with them, the guys that are playing at this next level? Because you average the same amount of points as those individuals? Because you're the same height, size, dimensions as those other people? Is it because you're just as quick as those people? Or faster than those other people? Or is your vertical higher than those other people? Think about that. So think about, are you being realistic, and then justify why you're being realistic. Just don't say, I'm being realistic just because I'm me. I'm Bell. That's why. No. Tell me why. What things, what attributes do you bring to the game that's exceedingly and abundantly better than your peers that makes you be a top tier Division I athlete or whatever school you want to go to? Because let's be honest, your competition, everybody's not going to those big schools, if anyone. So what makes you so great? What makes you so great of a basketball player that you should be able to go to those positions? You should be able to go to those universities. And you don't have to tell me that, but you should know the answer to those questions yourself. You shouldn't be kidding yourself. I'm trying to build a case so you're not going to kid yourself into believing something that's not realistic. So be realistic. Be realistic what that looks like for you. So the second thing you need to do is take an inventory of possible things that could be costing you opportunities, cost you more opportunities to go and play at different schools. Because a lot of us want to play at these different schools, but we take ourselves out of the conversations, the more we take ourselves out of many of those conversations because we have a narrow focus on how it's supposed to look. What are those things that's costing you opportunities? Some of it may be test score. Some of it may be proximity. Some of it may be even your skill level. And all those things are valid. Let's say for proximity. Some of you want to have your parents to come to all your games, all your home games. Proximity because, you're scared to leave the state. Proximity because this or that. See, me, myself, I would have played in Saudi Arabia if they were playing. If they were paying for my education, I'd probably be in the Middle East somewhere. But that's me. That's me. Some of you have some things like you may have a sick parent. You may have a sick grandparent. You may have just never been outside the state and just worried about it. Like, those things are valid as well, but you need to make sure that you can identify what are the things that are going to narrow your search. Some individuals is anywhere. They can play in South Dakota, North Dakota, from Maine to Connecticut to Wyoming to Utah. No matter wherever they're having an opportunity, they will go. That's kind of like what I was when I was going through the process. But that may be different for you. People have family situations they got to deal with, and I understand that. So make sure that you acknowledge that moving forward. Take an inventory as far as your skill level. This is another reason why you got to be very, very, very honest with yourself. Does your skill set match the place? Does your skill set match the destination that you want to go? Does your skill set match that? If it doesn't, then you gotta recalibrate a little bit. If you're new to this channel, you may not know this, but for some of you that have been here since day one, you understand that I don't really care about Division I, for real. For me, I'm worried about what's the best fit for you. Some of you, your best fit is NAIA, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of you, your best fit is junior college. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of you, or your best fit is Division III, Division II, and there's nothing wrong with that. And some of you, your best fit is Division I. There's nothing wrong with that. And then some of you, your best fit is not playing in college in the traditional way of playing intercollegiate, but maybe playing intramural. That's something that may suit your fancy as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just identifying that is the big thing. Identifying that. And then taking an inventory as far as your grades are concerned. Grades, GPA, making sure that you're eligible through the NCAA if that's where you're going. Making sure that you have the right test scores and things like that. You got to take an inventory of that. Don't kid yourself into thinking that you just can just point to a school on the map and say, I want to go to Duke, or I want to go to Maryland, I want to go to NC State, and not think that you have to adhere to these different things, these different checks, balances that you have to go through along the way. You have to do that. 3 is kind of going back on number 2, and that is making sure that you check the box on test scores. Test scores, making sure those test scores are what you need in order to be at that different level of basketball. Now, different levels of basketball require different scores on SATs and ACTs and GPAs and such like that. Make sure that you become familiar with that before you just think that you can just point to a school on the map and think that you can go there just because you like their colors or whatnot. All right, there's criteria you got to adhere to as it relates to these schools academically, and you want to make sure that you do that early and kind of know what you're getting yourself into. But as a senior, you got to make sure that you check that box as I have this so I can go here. But if not, then you might need to recalibrate it and figure out where else you can go. Here's another box you need to check before moving on to this next level if you're a senior in high school. It's making sure that your style of play matches to the destination in which you want to go, right? So some of these schools, you really have to, listen, playing college basketball is a grown man / grown woman sport, activity, event, whatever you want to call it. But it's for adults, okay? It's for adults. So if it's for adults, you really got to start thinking about it in a way that's beyond just I get to play a sport. You really got to be mature about this process, okay? And I say that because you have to ask yourself, does my game fit whatever style that's being played at this school? Does my game fit that? Do you even know what type of game you have in the first place? Do you know what type of game that you have in the first place? If you don't, ask your coach. But if you are a pick and roll type of player, you going to a dribble drive offense may not suit you best. Listen, there are people in college that I played against that you scratch your head and say, how did they make it and play college basketball? And that's not a shot against them, because some people can say the same thing about me. But that is to say that you will do exceedingly and abundantly better if you land yourself in a program that fits you. That fits you. Your offense, your defense, your style of play, academically, social life. Once you get that fit, you'll see a player that looks phenomenal on the basketball court because they fit that offense, that system best. But if you take that player and put that player somewhere else, you wouldn't even know their name. They wouldn't get off the bench. And that's just being intentional about making sure you're on a team that highlights your best attributes. And that's what you need to do. So ask yourself, the places that I want to go, do they fit the style in which I play? And my last checkbox that I encourage you to make sure you check before you go on to this next level is, the people that's giving you information, are they credible? I'm not going to be wrong. Don't get me wrong. You got moms and dads and coaches that a lot of times they want the best. They want the best for you. And they think you should be shooting all the shots, and they think you should be getting all the minutes, and they think you should be getting all the scholarship offers, all that stuff, because you got a support group that want to see you do well. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to sit yourself down and ask yourself, are they credible for giving me the information, or are they just saying that because they love me? If you can check all the boxes I just named today, I firmly believe you're going to have a running start on picking the school that's the right fit for you. And I can't say that enough. The right school for you. A lot of us want to play Division I basketball. A lot of us want to be on March Madness. A lot of us want to get our names shouted out by Dick Vitale. Like, we want all that stuff. That's great. But some of us may not have that fit for that particular program. And it is best for us to find that fit, no matter what level it is, and make the most out of our opportunity in college than to go to a school that's not a good fit and really in over our head and not have an opportunity to play the game we love so much. So consider all these boxes to be checked. Consider all these boxes to check all these boxes, whether you're a senior in high school about to go and play in college, or whether you're a junior college player about to go play in a 4-year university. And as always, whether it's on the court or off, in the classroom or out, graduate at the top of your class. Hoop Loudy.